Hi, I'm Sandra Dyer from Bethany, Region 2, Guyana. Uh, I I was born in a Christian home. From a child, I always dream of being a missionary, and it never realized until I am grown. Uh, Actually, how it started in Region 8 of Guyana, my sister, she and her family went out into that region, and she always asked, invited us to come. And then 3 years ago, I went to that village where she is, Paramakatoi, called PK. And so I was the only person who went out, and she asked me to come over and teach the ladies at the school some cooking skills. And so I went out there. And so while out there, I saw the need of going back to do more stuff. And so I decided, well, I'm going to get some other people to go. And so I spoke with my mom. I said, we need to go and help my sister in that village to do more work in sharing the gospel. And so she gladly accepted the invitation, and we formed a team. And so last year, which was 2017, four of us, we went in April of last year. When we went to Paramakatoi, we had a VBS out there, and it was the first of the kind that ever happened in Paramakatoi. The kids were excited about it, and so at first, just a few students came, but then every day the number increased, and eventually we had a total of 130 children enrolled for VBS. We also had parents, mothers coming out, grandparents coming out to VBS. So every day we had something for the children, something new, something exciting for the children, as well as the parents and grandparents that came out. We also served lunch, which was very nutritious, and the kids were excited of having lunch at the end of VBS. So at the end of the VBS, for the 5 days, we had a graduation, where we invited all the children and their parents, the villagers, to come out to the graduation. They came out, and we had a good time. Parents had a chance to express themselves, how they felt about the program that was, that their children attended, and they said they felt good. The village leader, one of the leaders, expressed himself in a way that first of the kind. They had such an experience in their village, and so they had invited us to come again. So this has opened the door for the gospel to go further in that village, to go in different ministries. And this is what we have been using: the ministry of child evangelism, cooking, and even we had health talks. One of our team members, she did health talks. We had evangelistic meetings, felt evangelistic meetings every night of those 2 weeks, which was very interesting to the people, the villagers, because they never had something like that. We used the felts, and it was amazing to see at the end of 2 weeks, 17 persons enrolled for Bible studies. It was a blessing. It so happened that the Tushao from the village of Tuesenang he was the person who was getting married to one of the villagers, the young lady in Paramakatoi. And so he was excited about what was going on in that village, so he invited us to come over to his village. And so that opened the door. And so we planned another trip to go down, well, in December of last year. And so we extended the invitation to other members, to other people, and who accepted the invitation. So we had total 10 persons going out, joining the 4 of us who went the first time in April. And so when we got to Paramakatoi, 4 of us and myself, we moved on to Tuesenang. Now in Tuesenang, they have no Adventist church there. And so we were happy to go out there to teach them about Jesus. And so we used child evangelism ministry to reach out to that village. And so 54 children were enrolled into the story hour we did every day with the children. We also did a craft, and we had lunch served to the children every day. They were excited. We had games with them also. Now during the time our stay in Tuesenang, we also had health talks, and we had family life talks. We also had cooking classes. And so that was very exciting, and to see how much the people were excited to learn, especially new skills in the kitchen. We also visited the sick, and we prayed for them. We also were able to have the priest for the village, the church, the only church in the village, which is the Catholic church. He came out and attended our children's story hour. When we were leaving, they asked when we are coming back, and so we told them, you guys need to invite us back. If you want us to come back, invite us. And sure enough, they did. So by the grace of God, we are planning to make another mission trip into the village of Tuesenang, where people are eager to hear more about God and learn more about His saving grace, so we can help them to make it into the kingdom before He comes. We are looking forward for our next trip, by God's grace, in April of this year. And so we just look forward for the support to go out into these unentered areas, so that the gospel can be preached and taught in through different ministries, so that hearts can come to know Jesus before it is ever too late. For our next mission trip, we need supplies for, 1, craft supplies for our children, like stickers, cardboards, construction papers, glue, gifts to give out to the children as incentives or little rewards of doing, well in their attendance and stuff like that. Fuel for our transportation by air and land. And if we need projectors to run, we need fuel for that, fuel in general. Food supplies, well, there are some people who just can't afford to pay for the food out there while we're in the mission field, but they're willing to go. So we just need support generally in all these areas.
Well, I am Linda Russell, mother of Sandra Dyer, and I must say that I was so excited about the trip going to Paramakatoi, of which another daughter who is over there was calling for some help. And it was in April 2017 when we went on that trip. And it was so exciting because the people really need help. They need to hear about God, and the children also. And Sandra, who was the director for the VBS, we all work together. I work as with the children doing needlecraft. And even, she said, grandmothers and mothers came out. We had night meetings, she said, and we were so happy to be there to share God's word with the people. We had some people who were baptized, 17 persons were baptized, and that was so great. One of my experience, I saw what God can do. The Wednesday night when we had the most people turn out to the meeting, the generator ran down with fuel, and we hadn't so much. So pastor and the 16-year-old boy went to refill the generator, and he didn't check well, and he saw 4 bottles fill, and he thought it was fuel and it was water. And he emptied it, one in the generator. And when he was actually finished, pastor said, "Boy, are you seeing what you're doing?" And when he looked, he saw it was water. But then we couldn't do anything because the water was already gone in the generator. So as a team, we got together and we prayed. We said, "Lord, tonight we are in trouble." And we had so many people turn out to the meeting. We said, "Lord, you are the same God who performed miracles. You turned the water into wine. And Lord, you can turn this water into gasoline tonight for us." They didn't drain out the gas or anything because we had anything to do it. And we prayed about it. Pastor said, "I'm going to crank this generator in the name of Jesus." And he cranked about 3 times. And the generator started. And it worked right through the meeting without, not even one time, it stopped. We said, "Thank you, God." The next morning, the son came and he said, "Mommy, who threw water in the generator?" And then she said it was a mistake. He drained it out and everything was okay. So there is where I see how God can really work. As long as we are willing to work for God, He performed the miracle for us. The people need God. We need help. And we are willing to go. We are willing to go. But by God's grace, we hope that as we go and we can see how God is working for us and for other people, we can continue to do God's will and prepare others for Jesus when He comes.
My name is Thelma Russell. I'm from the Bethany community, joining the team that was speaking before. I was called on this trip to Paramakatoi, and I responded with gladness because the first trip I missed because of a surgery I had. I couldn't make it then, but then this time was a better time. I was ready to go on this Paramakatoi trip. Being there with the team, I was the one who offered myself then to, when Sister Sandra said the group will be divided into 2, some to go to Tuesenang, some to stay at Paramakatoi. Who is going to carry on the VBS there? There was no answer for some time, and then I said, no, this is why we are all here. So I said, I would do it. On the first day, we started out with 50 children on day 1. On day 2, we increased to 58. And then we went to 63. Then we went to, I think, 68. And then on the last day, we had 74 children, along with parents and so. But every day of that VBS, we could see the eagerness in parents who came along to see what the children was doing. You know, they were interested in what the children was learning. And our team there, it was about the creation week for the VBS. And those little children, you know, at first I felt that these children wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't have them learning things for the graduation coming up. But on the day of graduation, I was really, really, really surprised with my children, because they came off so nice with the songs, with their memory texts, and with everything. After every day's work, they would go to lunch, you know. And one child came to me and she said, Miss, I enjoyed my lunch today. I never had a lunch like this, you know, and I smiled. I said, I'm so happy to hear that from you. As a nurse, I gave a few health talks, like things on topics like smoking, how dangerous, what damage it can do to the immune system, to the body, alcohol, you know, and things, depression, pressure, blood pressure, and things like that. I talked about, you know, and they were so amazed because they said they never had these things done, like, you know, in that way. And I tried to explain as far as I could go to let them understand how things like these could damage you, right? And, you know, and the text came right back to me and say, what will the world profit you and you lose your own soul, you know? And some people even came back to me after these talks and asked me questions, you know, about health. Some of them told me about the night meetings. Pastor, he was dwelling more on the Daniel and the Revelation, right? But he had it on videos, and that they could see and they will understand more about what they don't know about. So on these mission trips, you learn a lot. And it helps you too to keep on the right path when you think about people who really need Jesus. But on these trips, we see how God worked things out for you. So it just calls for willingness, it calls for faith and courage to carry this gospel. In the future, I plan to go on all other trips once I can make it and once I'm in good health. By God's grace, I'm willing to be there to give my support in whatever way. And even if I cannot go on some trip, I will still try to support in some way or the other.
My name is Sunita Diamel, and I learned the mission trip from the first elder of my home church, just like 3 days before the trip. And I was really excited when he told me about it, because I had wanted to do something more than just going to church and sitting there, and you know, my heart's desire was to do something more for God, for what He has done for me. So I grabbed the opportunity, and he told me that to get in contact with Sister Sandra. So the Sabbath afternoon, I did just that. So from then, she keep in contact with me, I keep in contact with her, and we made plans for the trip. I stayed in Paramakatoi, and I worked along with Sister Thelma to work for as teachers for the VBS. I was a teacher for the Vacation Bible School in PK. It was a great experience to me. It was a refreshing experience in my Christian life because I never go on any mission trip before. This was the first mission trip, and it was really great because then I get to understand that there's so many people out there who is in dying need of the word and of God's love. And just sitting in my community or sitting in my home church, I think that's not good enough. It's not enough for a Christian. So my experience was really great, and I know that God really worked. One of the things that really impacted me a lot was to see people accept the truth and give their lives to Jesus, to God, through baptism. And I must say that I'm extremely thankful to those who sponsored the trip, because hadn't it been for them, it was challenging before. But I must say how grateful I am for the sponsorship. I'm hoping by God's grace to be there on the next trip, on the next mission trip.
I am Audrey McBee. I learned about the trip to Tuesenang village via Sandra Dyer, who is an elder from my local church. I wanted to go as soon as she told me because I love going on mission trips. I love Guyana, period. And so when I was told about the opportunity to go into the interior, that's one, and two, go in to share the gospel, I was ready to go right away. I went to the village of Tuesenang, and my job was to do some health talks and just help around with the children's program, the cooking classes that were done, just helping in general in the other things. But mainly, I was the person doing the health talks. This trip was a blessing to me because it helped me to see more of the hungering and the thirsting for Christ that's been so long in Guyana, and not much has been able to be done for many reasons, lack of resources and so on. So it has really helped me to be more willing and even more dedicated to the mission of bringing the gospel to the unreached villages of Guyana. When we were leaving, the people came to the guest house because that's where the captain had put us. He had no other accommodation. The people had come and they were just saying, "So when are you coming back?" The captain himself came, counselors themselves came, leaders in the community. "So when are you coming back? Is April good for you? Is August good for you?" They were just very really desperate then, I would say, for us to come back and to share what we have with them, because they don't have the Advent message in their village at all. I would love to go back to Tuesenang tomorrow. As soon as the opportunity comes, I definitely will be on board to go back to Tuesenang to do some more work for the people there. I would like to say a million thanks to those who sponsored the flights into Tuesenang. Really, you don't know how much you have helped the people. They had asked many months before we went in for us to come in, and we just couldn't go in. And so just having the flight sponsored was really great of you guys, and thank you. You made it possible for such a larger team then to make it into Tuesenang and to impact the lives of the youth, the adult, everybody. Everybody's lives were touched by our short visit in Tuesenang. So thank you very much.
In December, we also have another planned mission trip for concentrating mainly on health, which I know that the people in Paramakatoi will benefit in a big way. And so we look forward to having this mission trip. We are all excited about this mission trip where we can team up with other people, medical people, professional people who are excited about missions too and who want to help the people in Paramakatoi where their health is concerned, and most of all to help them learn about Jesus. I'm looking forward for that, and we are looking forward for your support so that these events can be a reality.
Just sprinkle. Just let it drop along top like that. Sprinkle.